My name is Gabby, and this is my story. I can barely breathe. Dozens of other geese are piled on top of me. It's so loud. This might be where my story ends, but it isn't how it began. I was born on a massive farm in Manitoba, Canada. There were thousands of us, peeping as loudly as we could. We all wanted one thing, our mothers, but none of us would ever meet them. I always wondered what mine might be like. It was so chaotic there. Thousands of us in one big shed. No order, all chaos. Oof! I was pushed to the ground. It was so crowded. I had to get up. I had to get up quick before... I felt a helpful nudge. Melvin. Melvin was cute and funny, and we became fast friends. Each day was the same. Wake up, avoid being shoved or pecked at getting to the feeders, try to get a sip of water, and then find some clean bedding to settle on so I could groom my feathers. That got harder and harder as everyone's waste built up in the shed. There were so many birds. Every day the smell got a little worse. It was inescapable. And then, one day, the giant door to the barn creaked open. Melvin and I tried to keep up, and finally we made it out and saw the sky. Wow! So blue and clear. At last, we were free. We hit a fence. What the heck? The whole area was surrounded by a fence. We were trapped. Again, my heart dropped. The vast blue sky had seemed within reach, but... What are those? Hey! Who are you up there? But they flew away and disappeared over the horizon. We were just in another cage, but this time there was no shelter. No shelter from sweltering hot days or freezing windy nights. Melvin and I would huddle close, still dreaming of the world beyond the fence, the world we swore we'd see one day. One morning, I opened my eyes. He said he was a goose born in the wilderness. When he was old enough, his parents taught him to swim. A few months later, they taught him to fly. He has a partner, and goslings of his own now, and he's on his way south for winter. I asked, will I get to do any of that? No. You're being raised so that humans can take your feathers and stuff them into jackets. There are lots of other ways for humans to keep warm, but some companies refuse to change. Companies like Canada Goose. He said some of the feathers taken from the birds on this very farm will end up in Canada Goose jackets. That's why they made you. That's why you'll never be free. It hit me in that moment. All of this yearning, this desperate wish to explore outside our endless confinements. I would never get to do that. In my heart, I was a wild goose, just like him. But my body had been turned into this shell. Suddenly, I heard Melvin shriek, then thousands of others. And then, I saw them, the men approaching us. I was pushed by the other geese, desperately trying to get away. Oh! I was shoved against the wire fence. More and more geese pushed against me, climbed on top of me. Everyone around me was terrified. When I looked back, I saw why. The men were grabbing geese by their necks, up to 4 at a time. They would shriek and cry, but the men would just throw them into metal boxes. More pushing, getting hard to breathe. I looked for Melvin. He was being crushed. The look in his eyes, I'll never forget it. A man yanked me by the neck, choking me. I was crammed into a low metal shelf, hitting my head and elbows on the hard surface. I strained to see where my best friend was. A man picked him up. He said, "Maybe a heart attack." "Yeah, it happens sometimes." The last time I saw my best friend, his lifeless body was tossed over the fence, discarded like a piece of trash. Then, the whole box rumbled. The birds next to me panicked, and we started moving. After a while, the truck pulled to a stop. Where are we now? And what is that awful smell? Suddenly, the unloading began. More men, this time grabbing us and hanging us upside down. They shoved my legs into metal shackles. I felt a sharp jolt. Ow! That hurt! I flapped my wings, trying to get free. Why is this happening? Then, I looked to where we were going, and I saw the blade. This was our end. We're going to be killed. So Canada Goose can stuff our feathers into jackets for humans. Even though there are countless better ways for them to keep warm that don't require me to die. I closed my eyes and pictured me and Melvin flying high in the sky. I wanted so much more for my life. I wanted so much more. Please, don't support Canada Goose until it acknowledges our suffering and switches to animal-friendly materials. Thousands of geese every year are counting on you. Thanks for listening.